Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It is Good News Tuesday, so we're going to talk about stuff that is good and only good. At least that's what I hope is good stuff to talk about. Let's go ahead and get into our headlines. Today on Before Coffee. Historic win for animals. South Korea bans the sale and production of dog meat.
On Good Tuesday, we have good news about cats in Singapore and Thailand.
2 years since James Webb's telescope opened up, this is what it taught us about the universe.
And in news briefs, we have iPhone survives 16,000-foot drop.
UK to introduce British Sign Language school qualification.
Those stories and more, which is National Static Electricity Day. Today on January 9th, 2024 on Before Coffee. Touch something. This is so dry.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of static electricity happening around this time of the year. Because everyone's wearing wool and all that. Warm clothes just makes even more.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Carbon is a static electricity generator. Fun fact.
For the animal lovers out there, Korea is going to finally get rid of selling dog meat and, well, kenneling dogs for dog meat. This is by Angela Simons. Oh, I forgot to turn on my music. I was like, why is it so quiet? All right. This is from Angela Simons and Hyung Jin Kim with AP. Some dog farmers plan to challenge the upcoming ban on production and sales of dog meat. South Korea's parliament had passed a landmark ban on the production and sale of dog meat. Although only a small minority of people still consume dog meat in South Korea, the ancient practice has been the subject of sharp criticism from foreign media and animal rights advocates. In recent years, the country's younger generations have joined calls to ban it. On Tuesday, 9 January, Parliament had heeded their call. The bill will make slaughtering, breeding, and sale of dog meat for human consumption illegal from 2027 and punished by 2 to 3 years in prison. It doesn't provide any penalties for eating the meat. So if you happen to accidentally eat some dog meat, you're going to be okay. I guess, for the most part. You might be a little shocked. Oh shit, I ate dog meat. I don't know. Meat, yeah. How common is dog meat in South Korea? Dog meat consumption is neither explicitly banned nor legalized in South Korea. Recent surveys show that more than half South Koreans want dog meat banned, and the majority no longer eat it. 1 in every 3 South Koreans still oppose a ban even though they don't consume it. There is no reliable official data on the exact size of South Korea's dog meat industry. Activists and farmers say hundreds of thousands of dogs are slaughtered for meat each year. In 2022, South Korea's national broadcaster KBS reported that more than 500,000 dogs were being raised for food across the country, and 1,600 restaurants were selling dog meat. As of February 2022, there were 1,156 farms breeding dogs for meat, and 34 slaughterhouses according to the Ministry of Agriculture, Food, and Rural Affairs. The grace period of 3 years was given to allow the industry to transition and close down, with crackdowns starting in 2027. Yeah, I guess because it's an unregulated industry, it's probably really easy to start up, you know? Oh, I've got a dog. Oh, I got another dog. Okay, time to make some dog meat. Whereas, pork, chickens, cows, all those things are regulated. So it's like, oh, I have to freaking buy a good cow. Then I have to make some more cows. And I need more land because cows are big. Oh, it's too much trouble. Whereas dogs, you can just keep in a cage. And nobody's going to be like, hey, I want free grass-fed dog. No one's saying that. Also, you don't feed dogs grass. So, but you know what I mean. Free range. Where's my free range dog meat? Nobody's asking for that, right? Because it's already...
Hot dogs, get your hot dogs.
South Korea's dog meat ban, it was passed unanimously. The National Assembly passed the bill at a 208-0 vote, It will become law after being endorsed by the Cabinet Council and signed by President Yoon Suk Yeol, considered formalities since his government supports the ban. The law is aimed at contributing to realizing the value of animal rights, which pursue respect for life and harmonious coexistence between humans and animals. The legislation says, the bill offers assistance to dog farmers and others in the industry in shutting down their businesses and shifting to alternatives. Details to be worked out among government officials, farmers and experts, and animal rights activists. Maybe they'll move on to guinea pigs. Some people eat guinea pigs. Humane Society International called the legislation passage history in the making. I never thought I would see in my lifetime a ban on the cruel dog meat industry in South Korea. But this historic win for animals is a testament to the passion and determination of our animals protection movement, said Jung Ak-chae, executive director of the Human Society International Korea office. A 2023 survey by animal rights groups Korea Humane Society International, Korea HSI, and the research agency Nielsen IQ showed public support for dog meat ban, with 57% of the 1,500 respondents in favor. More than 86% of adults surveyed said they had no intention of eating dogs in the future, regardless of what they had in the past. It also found an increase in negative perception of dog meat among those in the 40s and 50s, and increased consensus on the need to protect the welfare of animals. Farmers are extremely upset by the bill's passage, however. This is a clear case of state violence, as they are infringing on our freedom to choose our occupation. We just can't sit by idly, says Soon Wak-hak, a farmer and former leader of the Farmers Association. Sun said dog farmers will file a petition with the Constitutional Court of Korea and hold demonstration. He said farmers will meet on Wednesday to discuss other steps. The anti-dog meat campaign received a huge boost from that country's First Lady, Kim Kin-hee, who was repeatedly expressed her support for the prohibition. She has become the subject of withering criticism and crude insults during demonstrations by farmers. The legislation doesn't clearly specify how dog farmers and others in the industry will be supported after the ban, which would likely result in continued animosities, observers say. Dogs are different from cows, chickens, and pigs, says Him Young-ae, a 58-year-old Seoul resident. Why would you still eat dog when they are now seen as a family like pets than food? Another Seoul resident, Yeon-hee, disagreed, saying that whether to eat dog meat is a matter of personal choice and a dietary culture. Dogs are dogs, not humans, he said. But they're so close to being humans. Yeah, I'm kind of neutral on this. Like, I understand why people don't think dogs should be eaten, but I also understand that the reason dogs are eaten is because some people, can't afford to farm other animals. Maybe there was a bird flu that killed all the chickens, in ancient times, so they couldn't eat chicken. No, cows probably didn't exist. Maybe they had goats in South Korea. I have no idea. But dogs became the easiest source of food because people were starving, so people had to eat. And that's my number one thing. All I want is people not to starve to death. So it doesn't look like that's a problem here, This is definitely a business-oriented culture here. I want to make money off of dog meat, so they want to continue farming dogs. Hopefully, nobody in Korea is going, suffering from starvation because they can't have dog meat. Onto your story.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
But, well, from Korean dogs to Singapore, Thailand, and Singapore cats.
It's cats and dogs out here.
This is from, cats and dogs. There's going to be rain like cats and dogs here later, as a giant winter storm's headed this way. I'm not even covering that today because that's just weather, I guess. It's going to rain, Weather sucks. It's winter. But this is Andy Corbley from Good News Network. It's not about the weather. Camera catches sight of a tiger with cubs for first time in 10 years, raising hopes for species in Thailand. This decade has been one of the most... Hold on, I'm going to move my camera here. Read things. This decade is one of the most positive news about tiger conservation of any since conservation science began in earnest, and the highlight must be this mother tiger and her two cubs sighted in western Thailand. Well, it's got a picture. I don't have the ability to show you. The first such sighting in more than 10 years of close monitoring. The tigers are stable or increasing across the entire remaining strongholds, including China, Russia, India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and now Thailand, the only Southeast Asian country to see measurable increases in tiger population over the last 12 years. There may now be as many as 190 tigers in the country, up from 46 logged in population survey in 2007. The sight of a mother and her cubs in the Salak Phra Wildlife Sanctuary. The fact that they have a wildlife sanctuary is good news. Part of the sprawling western forest complex of Thung Yai Hai Kwa Quang wildlife sanctuaries that stretch across 2,400 square miles is a sign that Thailand's conservation efforts are really working. Not only are the tigers breeding outside the core areas, but that must therefore mean that there's enough large game like sambar deer to feed them. This is big news for us, said Radapan Padanaragasanan, the conservation program manager. I wish I was exaggerating the length of his name. Program manager at the Thai chapter of Panthara, a well-known wild conservation NGO. Now we are at the source. We can produce tigers from our place. That means our place is safe enough and has enough prey for the mothers to eat and breed. Neighboring Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam haven't been able to make meaningful progress in restoring their tigers, and if they ever needed a few individual animals, Thailand is now a stable, growing population that is adapted to similar forest conditions. Padanaran San told the Guardian that creative efforts to stop the poachers, such as by working together with ranchers to place early warning cameras in forest trails, have worked significantly. Reductions in commercial bamboo harvesting have also reduced human-tiger conflict, and the animals look poised to continue flourishing in the western rainforests in the country. And more good news from the Good News Network. Also, Andy Corbley just shares the byline. He just reprints the stories from other places. But here we are. That's what he does. Singapore's 30-year ban on cats in government housing is lifted, providing millions of felines with citizenship. So, more cats, more dogs. Less eating of dogs, more cats in houses in Singapore. Singapore has decided to lift the 30-year ban on owning cats in government housing, in which about 80% of the 3.6 million inhabitants live. So 80% live in government housing, and cats are banned in government housing.
I think it's probably because the cats are like destroying furniture and also, whatever. Because cats can be unwieldy. Not saying dogs can also, pop a hole through your wall, but cats can destroy stuff. So maybe that's why they're banned. I have no idea.
Find out.
Yeah.
Singapore is a beautiful, friendly, ordered place, a vision of classless, harmonious, market-based society. But the government has gone to extreme lengths to establish and preserve this, and outrightly made illegal many normal things like chewing gum and cats. Dogs, however, we're not banned. Dogs crap all over the place, so that makes no sense. However, we are not banned when the government's housing began more than 30 years ago, and many citizens now feel that not so small modicum of justice has been served to the pet-owning community. Cats are so much quieter than dogs. If they allow dogs, I don't understand why not cats, said 30-year-old Singaporean named Sunny, who has owned a cat clandestinely and lives in a government-built high-rise. Yeah, you don't have to own a cat. The cat owns you. It just comes and goes as it pleases, right?
Yeah, the cat owns you.
Well, that's what I say about trees. You don't own a tree. The tree owns you, right? You can't pick the tree up and go move with it. The tree owns you. It's the other way around. Sunny, like most young people, lives in government-owned high-rises and told the Taipei Times that even though the laws banning cats aren't well enforced, the fact that they are illegal in her home means she can't register for pet insurance or get certain veterinary procedures. It also means that if Sunny were to lose her cat, Mooncake, she would have no way to prove ownership, or the case that Mooncake was picked up by animal control. The Times speculates that it was a recent survey among government housing occupants in which 9 out of 10 said cats make good non-disruptive pets that led to the legislative about face. I think it's a good thing. It's a step forward after 30 years, Sonny said. It will be interesting to see how many clandestine cats now come out of the shadows. It will certainly be enlightening for government bureaucrats, curious to see how closely the law is followed when enforcement is lax. Okay, so there was a ban on cats in government housing. It wasn't banning cats in general society. Just like you said, it was probably just to take care of whatever, the furnishings that they provide. But to me, they're killing rodents. You know, there you go. They serve a purpose. They're not just
they
freeloaders.
do. They're good around, just, you know.
Restaurants keep them, stores keep them, right? Because they don't want their flour to get eaten by rats and mice. Okay, that's my good news stories for this morning. Back to you.
All right, let's look at the things that the James Webb telescope has taught us about space in the 2 years since it opened. This is from Giulia Cabonato with AP. On the 8th of January 2022, the James Webb telescope unfurled its mirror for the first time. 2 years on, it has shown us things in the universe we've never seen before. Our naked eye will never be able to see what the telescope sees. Traveling through light in space, NASA's James Webb can see the origins of the universe, something our minds can hardly begin to grasp. Working like a time machine, this powerful telescope has shown us far galaxies, the depth of stars, and the atmosphere of planets outside our solar system, gifting scientists and all humankind with new breathtaking images from space. On Saturday, January 8th, 2022, NASA's new James Webb Space Telescope first opened its huge mirror. It was the final step in unfurling the observatory positioned 1.6 million kilometers from Earth. Observatory. Why can't I say that word properly? The last portion of the 6.5-meter mirror swung into place at the flight controller's command, completing the unfolding of the telescope. Since that moment, James Webb has changed how we view the cosmos. These are some of the most stunning pictures it released so far, and has taught us about the universe that had, so far, remained out of reach. A deeper look at the pillars of creation. The James Webb telescope captured a high detail of the iconic pillars of creation, first made famous by images taken by NASA's Hubble telescope in 1995, where new stars are forming within the dense clouds of gas and dust. The three-dimensional pillars look like rock formations, but are far more permeable. These columns are made up of cool interstellar gas and dust that appears at times semi-transparent in near-infrared light. Building on images taken in 1995 and 2014, Webb's new view of the pillars of creation will help researchers revamp their models of star formations by identifying far more precise counts of newly formed stars, along with the quantities of gas and dust in the region. Over time, they will begin to build a clearer understanding of how stars form and burst out of these dusty clouds over millions of years. And so here is the image, which I hope it lets me show you here. Then we've got on October 28th, 2022, NASA released a second image of the pillars of creation, this time seen by Webb's mid-infrared instrument MIRI, and it's haunting in NASA's words. This exceptionally dusty rendering makes it both somber and chilling. That's because while mid-infrared light specializes in detailing where dust is, at these wavelengths most of the surrounding stars aren't bright enough to appear. Instead, these looming, leaden-hued pillars of gas and dust gleam on their edges, hinting activity within, NASA explained. So that's also some more space clouds, I guess. And then we have thousands of new stars in the Tarantula Nebula. In images released by NASA in September 2022, the nebula 30 Draados can be seen showcased in all its glory. Nicknamed the Tarantula Nebula, it's a favorite of astronomers studying star formation, as one of the largest and brightest stars forming regions in the galaxies nearest to the Milky Way. The Tarantula Nebula lies 161,000 light years away in a large Magellanic Cloud galaxy. It gets its name from the long, dusty filaments resembling spider legs in older images. The James Webb Telescope, however, captures the stellar nursery in a new level of clarity, showing tens of thousands of never before seen young stars that were previously shrouded in cosmic dust. Our cloudy star nursery. And then we have the iconic Phantom Galaxy. Oh, this one looks really cool. This stunning image of so-called Phantom Galaxy M74, Webb's ability to pick up longer wavelengths of light allows scientists to pinpoint the star-forming regions in galaxies such as this one. This image reveals a massive gas and dust in the galaxy's arms and a dense cluster of stars at its core. Really cool image. Oh, some of these are so cool. I don't believe they're real, right? Because they look like renderings. Oh, you know, something an artist could draw up. But it's like, no, this is real out there somewhere in space. This is happening. Or I guess, you know, what was it again? How long? No, this one didn't say how far away it was. 17 million light years away. That's what was happening. We only just got the footage now. Reminder, that's how space works. Mind you, that's how space works. We've seen a flashpoint of something that happened millions of years ago, and it finally reached us with our telescope. NASA released unprecedented observations of a planet outside our solar system, making use of the James Webb Telescope's powerful infrared gaze to reveal new details that ground-based telescopes would not be able to detect. The image of the exoplanet HIP 65426b, a gas giant about 6 to 12 times the mass of Jupiter, is the first time the Webb telescope has taken a direct image of a planet beyond the solar system. It's not very impressive, but it is impressive that it happened. All right. And then from our colored Skittles, this is a transformative moment, not only for the Webb, but also for the astronomy generally, said Sasha Hinckley, Associate Professor of Physics and Astronomy at the University of Exeter in the United Kingdom, who led the observations. Taking direct images of exoplanets is challenging because stars are so much brighter than planets, says NASA, located 355 light years from Earth, so hopefully it's still there. HIP 65426b is about 15 to 20 million years old compared to our 4.5 billion year old Earth. It is 100 times farther from its host star than the Earth is from the Sun, so it's sufficiently distant from the star that Webb can easily separate the planet from the star in the image. But it's also more than 10,000 times fainter than its host star in the near infrared, and a few thousand times fainter in the mid-infrared. Seeing this image felt like digging for space treasure, said Aaron Carter, a postdoctoral researcher at the University of California in Santa Cruz, who led the analysis of the images. At first, all I could do was see light from the star, but with careful image processing, I was able to remove the light and uncover a planet. Jupiter and its moons like you've never seen before. That's right, we didn't just go far, far away in light years away from our planet, but we also looked at Jupiter in HD, 4K HD con camera. The James Webb Telescope took photos back in July 2022, capturing the unprecedented views of Jupiter's northern and southern lights in a swirling polar haze. Jupiter's great red spot, a storm big enough to swallow Earth, stands out brightly alongside the countless smaller storms. And it's also not as red as you think. It's actually quite normal looking white color. So I guess what the previous telescope had a red hue to it when it captured images. Jupiter. like it looks like somebody just drew it, but that's a real image. One field picture in particular dramatic, showing the faint rings around the planet. Yes, that's right, Jupiter has rings, as well as 2 tiny moons against a glittering background of galaxies. I've never seen Jupiter like this. It's quite incredible. I agree. Just weeks after another batch of images captured by the James Webb team showed us the Cartwheel Galaxy in more depth, new images from Webb took us to another step further in our understanding of the universe by showing what happens after 2 galaxies collide. That's right. Let's hope that doesn't happen to us. Peering through the cosmic dust created by the collisions with its infrared cameras, the telescope gives us a shot of how a cartwheel galaxy is changing after it's run-in with another small galaxy billions of years ago. Cartwheel galaxy, I love that. It just cartwheeled through space and hit another galaxy. Oh, sorry there. Needs to take more gym classes. So here's our cartwheel galaxy exploding as it collides with another galaxy.
It knocks out a lot of the asteroids that don't hit us. They hit Jupiter because it's so big.
Jupiter's our savior in space.
Yep. It sucks in all the asteroids that will never hit us.
And for final image, which I think we've covered before, it's created by combining Webb's near-infrared camera and the mid-infrared camera, which are able to see the dust and reveal wavelengths of light impossible to observe in visible light conditions. The image obtained shows the formation of stars in the aftermath of galaxies colliding, a process which is not yet completely understood. So I think we covered this. It looks like a mountain peak. There's a bunch of space dust. And the bright core of the center of the galaxy contains hot dust, says NASA, with the brightest areas being home to gigantic young star clusters. What we can see on the other ring, and on the other hand, is the formation of new stars. The Cartwheel Galaxy is still going through changes and will continue to transform, promising to reveal more secrets about how galaxies evolve, even though it might take billions of years for us to find out. So here's our final image of new stars forming after the collision. Alright, and that's my story and my images of the crazy things the Webb telescope has been able to find 2 years on. Let's hope for 10 more years. Your story.
All right, well, in good news, Good Tuesday news briefs. Well, some of them are good news, if quirky news, and the rest of them are actually crappy news. So only one of them qualifies as actual good news. This first story is from BGR.com Tech, and it concerns an iPhone survives 16,000-foot drop after Alaska Airlines 1282 panel blows out mid-flight. On Saturday, one of Alaska's Airlines planes had a window and fuselage blown out in midair, forcing an emergency landing. Despite the shock, no one got hurt. While the story itself is incredible, a post on social media has gone viral as an iPhone from this plane was found intact on a road near Beaverton, Oregon.
Wow.
According to the Sanathan Blades, the guy's name is Sean Nathan. That's his name. His name is Sean Nathan Bates. Keep inventing those names, folks. According to Sean Nathan Bates, he found an iPhone from the Alaska Airlines flight on the side of the road. It was still in the airplane mode with half a battery? He must mean half of the indicator. Half a charge. Half a charge on the battery and open to a baggage claim for the flight. He already had his baggage claim thing going. The iPhone, which had a case and screen protector, was intact after 16,000-foot drop. Interestingly, while the case and the screen protector look as good as new, there was just a tiny issue, a broken off charger plug still inside of it. But despite that, everything seemed to be working just fine. Another social media user posted where the airplane was when its panel blew out and where the iPhone was later found. Bates said he called the National Transportation Safety Board, and the agency said another functional phone from the plane was also found, although we don't know which brand the phone was. The image seems to imply that the person who lost the iPhone after the Alaska Airlines incident had an iPhone 14 Pro or one of the iPhone 15 models, while Apple claims that the ceramic shield technology brings the toughest screen to the smartphone, I'm sure that the company hasn't tested many 16,000-foot drops. In addition, the phone's possibly landed on grass, which helps soften the fall. At the moment, the NTSB said the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration are investigating the accident. After the blowout, the government has grounded some Boeing 737 MAX 9 airplanes and expects further investigation from Alaska Airlines and everyone else. Another short news briefs overnight. A driver was, this is from CBS News, Aliza Chasen. Driver crashes into White House exterior gate, Secret Service says. A driver was taken into custody Monday night after crashing into the White House exterior gate, a Secret Service spokesman said. The driver collided with the gate shortly before 6 p.m. local time, Secret Service spokesperson Anthony Guglielmi said. Police cleared the vehicle in less than 2 hours later. President Biden was not at the White House at the time of the crash. Mr. Biden was in South Carolina for a campaign event earlier Monday. It was en route in Texas early Monday evening. Traffic was impacted nearly 15th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue, which is the eastern side of the White House complex near the Treasury building. After the crash, authorities said closures were lifted after the vehicle was cleared. Officials had not yet released any identifying information about the driver. It was not immediately clear if there would be any charges. Law enforcement officers believe the incident Law enforcement officers briefed on the incident told CBS News that the driver was a man who was believed to have mental health challenges. Challenges, yes. He was under evaluation after being taken into custody. The officer said, adding there was no longer an ongoing threat. Pictures showed the scenes. Show what appears to be a silver gray Cadillac Escalade with Virginia plates. Dude can afford an Escalade, and he's crashing it. Or maybe he can't make the payments. Maybe that's it. So that's your latest nut job, trying to, end his life in a meaningful way. I'm not sure what else he's doing, but there's one news brief, and the last news brief today is the at least 21 hurt and massive explosion in Fort Worth downtown hotel, gas suspected. This is from the StarTelegramNews.com. An explosion in the basement of the Sandman Signature Hotel in downtown Fort Worth on Monday blew out windows and walls in the first and second floors of the 20-story hotel, sending debris into the streets. Well, that must have been spectacular, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
People were injured. Multiple people were injured, with 21 hospitalized and treated on the scene, according to the fire department and MedStar. An explosion at the historic Wagoner Building at 810 Houston Street rocked downtown shortly after 3:30 p.m. Debris included drywall, wood insulation, glass, and metal was scattered hundreds of feet around the front of the building and out the rear toward Throckmorton Street. The Sandman Signature Hotel opened less than a year ago and includes a basement-level restaurant where the explosions believed to have occurred. Probably gas in the kitchen, I'm guessing. Somebody left the gas stove on? The authorities were assessing the structural integrity of the 102-year-old tower. The Fort Worth Fire Department spokesperson said at a news conference Monday that this was some type of gas explosion, but the exact cause remains under investigation with the assistance of the arson unit, ATF, and FBI. There was a strong smell of natural gas in the area, but it was initially unknown whether the gas leak was the cause or what happened as a result of the explosion. Technicians with the gas company Atmos Energy were also on the scene assisting. Gas has been isolated to the affected area, and we will continue to assess the Fort Worth Fire and Police Departments and all officials in support of their investigation. Just a sidebar, I'm not a big fan of having gas pipes in my house at all, quite frankly. Just for this reason. I don't know what the explosion's going to cause, where it's going to leak. I don't know. Anyway, and it's poisonous. It is poisonous. It'll kill you in your sleep.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, you could have a gas leak, and you barely detect it, and it's poisoning you in your sleep, as you sleep, all the time. Yeah. So we are in the arson investigation phase. I don't think it's arson, but it looks like a big explosion in downtown Fort Worth at one of their taller buildings. 20 stories ain't no small thing.
Yeah.
Even in Texas, 20 stories is a big building. Back to you.
Okay. Well, hopefully all those people in the hospital don't, suffer any long trauma. And let's continue on to our short culture segment on adding British Sign Language as a school qualification. That's right. Instead of having to, find a random class that your parents signed you up for when you were a child. Me, for example, I did take some American Sign Language classes randomly because I don't know why. I think it was Girl Scouts or something. I don't remember why I was there, but it happened.
Your cousin.
Yeah. And instead of that, you can just take it in school. So, at least in the UK. So, no longer do you have an excuse for not learning when it was freely given to you right there. This is by Joni Walfis on Your News Culture. Students in England will soon be able to learn British Sign Language in schools. Starting from the beginning of 2025 to the 2026 school year, British Sign Language BSO classes will be available to GCSE students aged 15 to 16. The 2-year BSL curriculum will include at least 750 signs and will be inclusive to students without or any prior knowledge of the language. By the end of the course, successful students should be able to communicate effectively in BSL. The course will also teach students the history of BSL, the significance of sign languages, and how the language itself was formed. Including BSL into English GCSE curriculum is a huge boost to campaigners trying to grow the use of the language beyond the deaf community and into the mainstream. Schools are already able to teach BSL as part of their curriculum, but the inclusion of the language as part of the GSCE program that all students are mandated to study is hoped to encourage more schools to teach the subject more widely, says the Department of Education. Adding BSL GCSE is due to the campaigning work of student Daniel Gillings, the now 17-year-old, who has been working to get the qualification added since he was 12. God, isn't our freaking our world so sad that the young people always have to tell the old people, hey, you should do this? Why? I don't know. People need to learn stuff, maybe. Education. Gillings is deaf and was born without a cochlear, meaning it is impossible for him to get a cochlear implant. He campaigned for the UK government to add BSL GCSE alongside the large list of foreign languages GSCEs. In his crowd justice funding page made in 2018, he questioned whether the language's exclusion from the nation's GCSE curriculum amounted to an unlawful discrimination. Gillings has since been subject to a documentary of spoken BSL to more than 20 MPs. Following his campaign, the UK's government began preparations for the GCSE in 2019, but has taken now for it to be fully finalized. Around 87,000 people in the UK are deaf. So imagine how many deaf people there are in the United States, which is a much larger country. According to the British Deaf Association, with a total of around 151,000 people in the country using BSL. Sign language from different countries are not mutually intelligible, with each language differing in common with nations' mother tongues. In many European countries, there are more than one single language used per country. In Spain, for example, there is a Spanish sign language used for the majority of the Central Iberian Peninsula, but there's also a Catalan, Valencian, Galician, and Basque, just like there's normal speaking vernacular in Spanish as well. As sign languages don't conform to the same grammatical rules of their country's spoken languages, it also meant that they can share unique similarities. For example, the French Sign Language have more in common with American Sign Language than with BSL has with its American counterpart. Yeah, there's only so many ways you can use your hands and arms. So, I recently learned on a short the word for Hitler in American Sign Language. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. You do this and you do this. It's pretty funny. This part in particular is funny that you do this to indicate Hitler. So, I'm sorry, Nazis, not Hitler. Nazis. Hitler is the sign for Nazis. But there's some interesting sign language out there, and I've always found it quite fascinating to, even though I don't know what they're saying, watch sign language because it is really a talent. And you can get a job. If you learn sign language, you can become a translator. So it's also a career. It's not just being able to communicate with your deaf cousin, but also you can make a real job out of it. So applauses to the UK and to the 12-year-old who is now 17 for Jillings for finally convincing his government to let people get taught sign language in school, not in some secret, sign language course, back in a back alley somewhere. It's right there, public for everyone. We gotta
find that video.
Day in history.
We gotta find that video of the fake sign language person. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
It was like a. It's probably easy to find.
Yeah, it was like during a speech, right?
Yeah, it's just some random person got up and said, "I know signing," and they had just making little look, and people are looking at it like, those aren't words.
Yeah, I mean some sign language words are in a way very body obvious, like, oh yeah, if I'm saying hello, just wave your hand or something, right? But yeah, it gets more complicated the more complicated the word is.
Right on. And my stupid phone making noise. And this day in history, 1839. Louis Jacques Mande Daguerre of France, Daguerre of France, proclaimed his invention of the daguerreotype, the first commercially successful form of photography. So, the photograph was born this day in 1839, basically. At least the invention of it being proclaimed. 1861 on this day, Mississippi became the second U.S. state after South Carolina to secede from the Union and run up to the American Civil War. Mississippi still has not rejoined the Union. Wait a minute. Well, I guess they have. But they're still living in the Civil War. 1908, Simone de Beauvoir, French writer and feminist who gave a literary transcription to the themes of existentialism, was born in Paris. 1934, American professional gridiron football quarterback Bart Starr, who led the Green Bay Packers to the victory in the first 2 Super Bowls, was born. So happy birthday to Bart Starr. Happy 90th. 1941, also the birthday of folk singer and political activist Joan Baez, who was at the forefront of the 1960s folk music revival. She was born in Staten Island, New York, famously, of course, toured with Bob Dylan, made him a folk singing legend by introducing all the folk music people, and they made a lot of great duets together and so forth. And Joan Baez, probably the first folk music superstar, even before Bob Dylan. 1960, construction began on Aswan High Dam in Egypt, and upon completion in 1970, it generated enormous amounts of electric power and allowed for the control of the annual Nile flood. 1982, Catherine Middleton, who married Prince William and became the Duchess of Cambridge, was born in Reading, Berkshire, England. In 2001, on this date, Apple introduced iTunes, a digital media application that, with the years later debut of the iPod, revolutionized digital music. If you say so. And this day, on January 9th, featured event. In 2005, Mahmoud Abbas, who was the founder of Fatah in the 1950s and served briefly as a prime minister of the Palestinian Authority under Yasser Arafat, was elected president of the Palestinian Authority on this day, on 2005. Featured biography. It is also Richard Nixon's birthday. That's right, Richard Nixon, Joan Baez, and Bart Starr were born on the same day. What a coincidence. January 9th, 1913, in Yorba Linda, California, Richard M. Nixon was born. He died on April 22nd, 1994, in New York City, New York. Other birthdays. I could do the rest of this as Richard Nixon. It is Simon de Beauvoir's birthday, 1908. That's a very famous French writer. Also, Joan Baez. I understand she's very popular with the counterculture folks out there. Her birthday. J.K. Simmons, American actor today, is born. Very, very serious actor. I have no idea who that is. And of course, we did cover Catherine, Princess of Wales. That's not my best Nixon, but I had to calmly do it. National Day Calendar. It is National Apricot Day. Who doesn't love an apricot? Probably a lot of people. We already covered it's National Static Electricity Day, so don't give me any static. It's National National Balloon Ascension Day, so it's time for everybody to get freaked out about balloons in the sky. Why would you have Balloon Ascension Day in January? It's like,
I don't know.
Crappy weather. Oh, in the southern hemisphere, sure. National Shop for Travel Day. I'm sorry?
Maybe that's where they're doing it. Australia is putting their balloons out right now.
Yeah, big day in Chile for the balloonists. National Shop for Travel Day, second Tuesday in January. There you go. It's National Shop for Travel. I'm not sure if there's any discounts out there for you, but maybe. It's National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. So say, hey, I appreciate you, cop. Don't shoot me. Back to you. So that's your stories for today and Joan Baez's birthday, which is, she turns 83 today. So
wow.
January 9th, 2024 on Before Coffee.
And this has been Allison here from the freezing cold but clear skies, Netherlands. And I will see you tomorrow from Wacky Wednesday, where we're going to cover the wackiest news. We already covered some wacky news today, but there's going to be even wackier stuff happening tomorrow. And we'll see you then. Here is your mic drop moment. Oh, wrong one.
Says Joe, what they can never kill went on to organize, went on to organize from San Diego up to Maine, in every mine and mill, where working men defend their rights. It's there you find Joe Hill. It's there you find Joe Hill. I dreamed I saw Joe Hill last night, alive as you or me. Says I, but Joe, you're 10 years dead. I never died, said he. I never died, said he.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.